you very much. This is great. That was a very lovely introduction. Thank you very much for that introduction. I don't always get good introductions when I perform. Remember a few years ago I was in Pakistan and I performed in Lahore. And the person introducing me had no idea who I was. And when he's introducing me, he says, "Please welcome to the stage, stand-up comedy and recent convert to Islam, Jiminy McLellan." And the crowd goes crazy. Everyone is so excited. They're crying in the corner because they had been making dua for that for so long. And then I had to get on stage and tell everyone the bad news that I am not famous Muslim comedian Jiminy McLellan. I'm a Catholic comedian, Jeremy McLellan. And the crowd turned on me. They glared at me for the rest of the night because I had left Islam to them. I was Muslim for 10 seconds. And that was enough. That was enough. They hated me after that. But no, this is great. I'm actually very thankful that I was able to make it here tonight. I actually didn't get in. I was supposed to fly in yesterday. I didn't get in until 2 a.m. this morning because my flights were canceled. It was a big nightmare. But I texted all my friends. I was like, please pray that I'll be able to make it here tonight. And they all prayed, and because God answers prayer, here I am. The problem is that half my friends are Muslim and the other half are Christian. And so the prayer was answered, but there's no way to know, based on the fact that the prayer was answered, which religion's true. Okay, I think next time I have to ask the Muslims to pray that I'll be able to make it, the Christians to pray that I won't make it, and then I'll have the atheists send me their thoughts as a control group. That's how I'm going to do it. I am here tonight for one reason only, and that is I'm trying to get into heaven. Okay, that's why I'm here. And so my plan is I'm just trying to get in good with each religion so that whichever one turns out to be true, I'll be allowed in, right? Like if Christianity is true, I'll vouch for all of you. You know, I'll say they came to my event and that's great. If Islam is true, I'm here. I have a shawar kameez. I can put it on real quick. And then I'll be allowed in, you know. And that's basically my plan. I do a lot of events for different religions, basically. I do a lot of these events. You guys are Muslims. I also do a lot of Catholic events, and they're very similar. Christian events are very similar to Muslim events. The only difference is that at these events, they don't serve alcohol. That's like the main difference, right? Because I'm sure you're all very devout Muslims. You drink at home, right? You're not going to drink at these events, right? I would ask, though, I read a statistic that 1/3 of all traffic fatalities involve drunk driving, okay? Which means that 2/3 involve sober driving, which means that sober driving is twice as dangerous as drunk driving. So please, if you get to the end of the night and you realize you're too sober to drive home, please call a designated drunk driver to come pick you up. All right, we call those Uber. I love Uber. I love Helping Hand. I'm glad you guys are here to support this great cause. I have traveled with Helping Hand all across the world. I went with them to Jordan and I also went with them to Pakistan. And it was a great event. It was a great experience. I've been to Pakistan a bunch of times. 5 times I've been to Pakistan. And I've been to Lahore 5 times. I have never been to Karachi. So if any of you are from Karachi, I do apologize for that. But Lahore is my favorite city on the planet. So it has a very special meaning to me. And actually one of the very first events that I ever did was for a Pakistani wedding. I had just started doing comedy and I got a phone call from a couple fans of mine in California. They wanted me to come out, fly out to California and perform at their wedding. And their names were Omar and Zainab. And I knew about Pakistan and Islam, but Pakistan and Islam didn't know about me. Okay? So I flew out and performed. I followed their instructions. You know, I learned about them, and they said, sit up front after the speeches, go on stage, perform like 20 minutes about like Pakistan, Islam, whatever, and then after that, get off the stage. And so I did that. I found the wedding at the bottom of this hotel. It was in the basement of the hotel. I found the wedding, the Pakistani wedding. I sat up front after the speeches. I go on stage. I do my material. People are not laughing very much at all. I go and I sit down, and my phone dings. It goes off, and I look, and it's a text, and it says, "Jeremy, you're about to go on. Where are you?" And I look up, everyone's staring at me, and I realize that I just performed at the wrong Pakistani wedding. This is 100% true, okay? And I walk out, very awkwardly leave the room, okay? And I walk down the hallway to the other Pakistani wedding, which went so much better because they were expecting me. And again, this is not like it would be today. Like, people didn't know who I was, and they're like, why is Jeremy here? Instead, they were just like, who is this racist white dude who crashed our wedding and did all this offensive material about Pakistan, you know? Like, he's like biryani or whatever, you know? Like, it's terrible, terrible. And on the way home, I realized, and I'm so embarrassed about this today, I realized that I had been using their names while I was performing at the wrong wedding. The wrong names. So I was up there just like Omar and Zainab. Omar and Zainab, these crazy kids. It was not Omar and Zainab. I'm just like, that's probably what their names are. It was very, very upsetting. So another time, it wasn't Helpingham, but like one of the very first shows I did, I got booked to do a Muslim charity. And it was in Charleston, my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina. And I remember I was kind of nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the rules were, you know. And thankfully, they sent me a contract on the email. And I opened it up, and there were 2 rules in the contract. It said, rule number 1, all your material has to be family friendly. And I was like, no problem. I can do family friendly. I can do extended family friendly if you want me to. Like cha-chas and chachis and popos and poppies and kalus and I don't even know. There's so many words that y'all use for family members. And it's very confusing, right? So you bring them, and I'm friendly, right? Family friendly. And I kept reading, and I'm not making this up. Rule number 2 was you can't do any jokes about the difference between Sunni and Shia. And I was like, again, not going to be a problem because I don't know the difference between Sunni and Shia. I mean, I know the difference now. You don't have to come up to me after the event and try to explain to me the difference. I know the difference now. But even now, I have always wanted to know, like, what happened the previous year at that charity to make them put that in the contract? You know what I mean? Like, every contract is a story about past events, right? Like, they'll put on there, like, comedian has to wear pants. And I'm like, there's a story there somewhere. Like, they had to put that in. But what happened? Like, what comedian did they book who showed up and then ruined everyone's night with a solid hour of Sunni versus Shia jokes? Just got up there and was like, Sunnis walk like this, but Shias walk like this. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about, right? I don't even know what I'm talking about. And also, one of the things that I've learned, doing these kinds of events is that the real schism in Islam is not between Sunni and Shia. It's about whether biryani should have potatoes in it. That's the real... Like, raise your hand if you think biryani should have potatoes in it. Should. Okay, a few people. Raise your hand if you think it should not have potatoes in it. Okay, that's the majority. That's like a Sunni percentage of the audience who says it's not biryani. No potatoes in biryani. But I eat so much Muslim food, and I think that's how you try to convert people. I think that's like the thing, is that you feed us so much that in order to not gain weight, we have to fast. And then you're like, well, you're already fasting, so it's 1 pillar down, 4 to go, Jeremy. Let's do this. Like, I think that's the plot. I think that's the plan. It's working. It's working a little bit, But I do like how it's not just events like this. Like, I did a show in New York at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City. And it was just a regular show. It wasn't like religiously themed or anything. And front row center is a Pakistani woman with a thing of like a Tupperware full of biryani. And she's sitting there the whole show, just like this, just like this auntie in the, just with this Tupperware biryani. And afterwards she gave it to me, and I was like, this is so beautiful, thank you so much. She gave it to me, and then she gave me a note card with her name and address on it. And I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm married. Like, I'm married, I have 2 kids, like, very happily married. I'm flattered, but... And I was like, no. She did not... No, that was not why she wrote it down. That was so I could mail back the Tupperware. She was not going to part with that Tupperware. She was like, no, I'm not hitting on you. This is how it is. So, So I actually have lost some weight recently. I gained a bunch of weight during the pandemic, like a lot of you. And then I'm trying to lose it, and I've actually lost 30 pounds in 6 months. That's true, 30 pounds in 6 months. I know, it's crazy. The fastest, that's the second fastest I've ever lost weight, okay? The first fastest way I've ever lost weight was in Pakistan when I drank the water. I don't know if any of you have had Pakistani tap water, but it is, if you're trying to lose weight, I highly recommend getting your hands on it. And it's not because the water is toxic, okay? It's just that like the water is like, I don't know, your body is like a Trump supporter. Like if something is foreign, it's just like, get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. Like, gonna make this body great again, okay? Like that's how it was when I was there. But the main way that I have been fasting a lot. I've been doing intermittent fasting, to lose weight. I've also been working out like in every city I go to, and it's great. I got a subscription to Planet Fitness. You guys know what that is? It's in every single city. There's a Planet Fitness. I love it. I love it because it feels the exact same in every single city. Like a few months ago, I was on tour and I was working out in a Planet Fitness, and I saw a guy sitting down, and he was working. He was like taking a break from his weights. And he had a shirt on that said Charleston, South Carolina. And that's my hometown, so I was excited, you see somebody with their hometown, on it. And I went up to him and I was like, hey man, you from Charleston? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, cool, like were you born in Charleston? And he said no. And I was like, oh, where are you really from? And he said New Jersey. And I was like, oh, cool, because I'm from Charleston. He was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I was born in Charleston. And he said, leave me alone. I was like, all right. That's okay. Dude doesn't want to talk. That's fine. So I go back to my workout, and as I'm working out, I realize I'm in Charleston. Like I was already back from my tour. I was just in a Planet Fitness. Like I wasn't touring at all. I had just gotten back the day before. And I had just walked up to a guy in Charleston and was like, hey man, you from Charleston? Because I'm from Charleston. Were you born in Charleston? Because I was born in Charleston. Maybe we can be best friends. And so after my workout, I went home. And I went home to my wife. And I was like, Stephanie, you will not believe what stupid thing I did today. And so I'm telling her this story. And she stops me in the middle of the story. And she's like, Jeremy, what race was he? And I was like, I don't know. He was like an Asian guy. And she's like, Jeremy, he didn't think you were stupid. He thought you were racist. And I was like, really? Why? She was like, why? You just walked up to a guy in Charleston and was like, hey man, you from Charleston? Yeah, but were you born in Charleston is my question, okay? Because I'm from Charleston, okay? I was born in Charleston, all right? Gonna make Charleston great again. That's not at all what I expected. Not at all what I meant. Not at all what I meant. So I was raised in Charleston, all right? And growing up, they didn't tell me a lot about Islam, Like, they told me just enough so I wouldn't like you. That was their plan, right? I had a teacher in school. I'm not making this up. I was in high school. I had a teacher, and she told us about Islam. And then at the very end, she said, and by the way, kids, just so you know, you can't trust Muslims. And I was like, really? Why not? And she was like, because they're allowed to lie about whether they're Muslim. And I was like, really? And she was like, yep. And I was like, are you? Are you Muslim? And she's like, no. I was like, how do I know? It was great. It was great. But I did. Like my whole backstory is that I didn't know a lot about Islam. I didn't know a lot about Pakistan. However, I did, for my whole life, I have worked with people with intellectual disabilities. That's what I did before I became a comedian. All right, that was my whole job. I did that for 15 years, right? Working with people with special needs groups. And I had clients. I had these two clients who were Pakistani Muslim, right? And one of them, his name was Saeed, and his parents were from Lahore. And I remember his mom called me up, and she asked me to make biryani for Saeed, right? And it was my job as his caregiver to do stuff like that. And so she gave me the instructions over the phone, the recipe, the tarkib, right? I'm learning Urdu, so I'm like, okay, everything I'm trying to translate into. All right, she gave me the instructions, right? And in the instructions, she said, make sure that you put aloe in it. She said aloe, right? But I was like, aloe, why would you put aloe in biryani? And I was trying to make sense of it in my head. I was like, okay, so all right, so if it's too hot and it burns your mouth, you'd put aloe in it, to soothe your mouth, right? That makes sense. And so I went to the store and I got all the ingredients for biryani, including aloe, and I mixed it in. And I fed it to my clients, and they were eating and they were like, "Ugh, this tastes like soap." And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "It tastes like soap, and there's no aloe." And I was like, "What?" I put aloe in it. It was no aloe, potatoes. I was like, "Oh no." It's terrible. I love those guys though, right? That's what I was their caregiver for like several years. And it was my job as their Christian caregiver to help them be good Muslims. Which is an interesting relationship to have with someone, you know? Like my phone would go off 5 times a day and I'd be like, "It's time to pray." "No, I'm not going to pray, but you got to pray." You got to pray. It did get awkward during Ramadan though, because we would be out in public and they would be like, "Can I have some food?" And I'd be like, "No, you can't have any food." And they'd be like, "Can I have some water?" And I'd be like, "No, you can't have any food or water." And people would overhear me. And they would be like, "Why aren't you giving those disabled guys any food or water?" And I'm like, "Because they're Muslim." It's like a hate crime or something. Like, this guy's terrible. This guy's awful, though. Oh, man. It is interesting, though. Like, I'm a very religious person. You know, I'm a very religious person. And so I like other people who are religious. You know, even if you're not my religion, I like just religious people in general, you know. And because religion is not doing that great. Well, I don't know. My religion's not doing that great. Y'all seem to be doing pretty well. And every time I see those stats about religion in the West, I'm like, "Oh, you better split those into which one's doing well and which one's not." Because, and like one result of that, I don't know if you've seen this, but there are a lot of churches that are being turned into mosques. You guys have seen these? You know, do you guys have these in your community, right? Thumbs up. You're just rubbing it in. You're like, "Yes, you're coming for your church next, Jeremy." No, but it's fine, right? It's our fault for not going to church, okay? So if the church is empty, you're welcome to it, right? What I don't like is when you don't even change the outside of the church. That happens a lot. You drive by, it still looks exactly like a church. Sometimes you even leave the cross up. You're like, "No, it's a T. Stands for takbir." It's like you're trying to trick us. You're like, "Come on in, brother. Come on in. It's a beautiful church. It's a beautiful church." But here's why I really don't like it, is that I know that at some point there is going to be a Christian family that moves in down the street, starts attending, and never realizes it's a mosque. They're just like, "Man, we have been going to this new church, and it is so different, you guys. Like, all the church services are on Fridays. It's very convenient. They make you take your shoes off before you walk in. It's very Japanese. We love it. We love it." What else? Oh, a lot of nuns. A lot of nuns. Like, every woman in there is a nun. They call them sister, too. Like, they're nuns in there. And they're very progressive. They let the nuns get married and have kids and everything now. It is very unique. And what else? Oh, another difference. All the baptisms are in the bathroom. It's just super wet in there all the time. I don't know why. And no, they're very devout Christians. They baptize themselves about 5 times a day. They are on fire for the Lord. Can I get an amen? Anyway, we've been going for years, still have no idea what they're saying, but we never learned Latin, so that's our fault. Kind of lost. I don't know Latin. I am trying to learn Urdu. Anyone here speak Urdu? Anyone speak Urdu? A bunch of you speak Urdu. I'm trying to learn Urdu. It's not so I can talk to people. It's just so I can tell what they're saying in the comments of my Facebook page and on social media, because there's a lot of Urdu on there. And like, it all started like a few years ago. I was talking about all my experiences, with my clients, taking care of some guys who are Muslim and Pakistani. And I went viral, and then I got a comment, and it said, "Jeremy, you're my favorite Gora." And I was like, I don't know what that is, right? So I put it into Google Translate, and it said it meant horse. And I was like, is that good? To be a horse in Pakistan? Is that like a slang term? Is that like you're my horse, man? Like, I don't know if that's... I was like, okay, I'm fast. I'm powerful. I'm a very good Gora. This is great. I also was like, well, okay, so like, this is how I thought. I was like, okay, maybe like in India, it's the cow that's the sacred animal. So in Pakistan, it's the horse that's the sacred animal, and I'm their favorite one. I'm like, that's good, that's great, you know. No, it's Gora and then Gora. This is from the back. It's like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I can't say. I have to have a sinus infection in order to pronounce Urdu words correctly. If I'm sick, I'm like really good at Urdu, but then I get better and I can't say it anymore. I go back to like Imran Khan, right, instead of Khan. Like it's very confusing, very confusing. But I was also wondering, like, do I really have to learn Urdu in order to go to Pakistan and like talk to people, right? Why can't I just? And this is what I did the first time I went. I was like, I'm just gonna speak English with a Pakistani accent, and you know what? It works. Because I was in Pakistan and I was like, excuse me, where's the bathroom? And they were like, what? And I was like, where's the bathroom? Like, what? And I was like, that is the bathroom. And they're like, oh, yeah. It was like over there. I was like, what? Is that all Urdu is? It's just a Pakistani accent. That's all it is. It's great. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. I do remember, though, like, I always go in August, right? Because for whatever reason, no one books comedians in, like, July and August, right? So I have all this free time. And so I like, that's when I've been to Pakistan, July and August. And I overhear people in the market. I was in a Narkali market, right? And there was a person next to me, and they were talking, and they were complaining about being hot. And so they were saying, get me. Right, get me. But I'm so arrogant, I was like, it's actually Jeremy, just so you know. I know you recognize me and everything. I know you recognize me, but it's actually Jeremy. Like, no, get me. Get me. I'm like, no, it's Jeremy. It's Jeremy. Oh, get me. I'm like, no, Jeremy. It's very awkward. Also, I thought, like, I don't need to know Urdu, right? When I greet people, I'll just say Assalamu alaikum, right? That's easy to remember. I don't have to learn Urdu greetings or anything. I wish I had. I wish I had learned it because everyone was saying, like, kaise ho, right? But, right, how are you, right? Kaise ho. But, well, actually, you have to say to me. No, you can say to him. You can say to him. We're close enough. It's fine. No, but it's true though. Like, but I didn't know that's what they were saying. I thought they were saying, "Guess who?" Because you go over to people's houses, they'd open the door and be like, "Guess who?" And I was like, "Who?" Like, no, guess who? I was like, "Who?" Like, no, guess who? I'm like, "Get me." It's terrible. I was also worried, in Pakistan, I thought I was getting spied on, like at the hotel. I thought I was like under surveillance because they brought me to my room and they were like, "Ye camera hai? Ye camera hai?" And I was like, "Camera? There's a camera in the room?" And they're like, "Yes, camera room." And I was like, "No, I don't want a camera in my room." They're like, camera. I was like, "No, I don't want it." It was very strange. Very strange. And also, people were asking me like about my marriage and everything. And they were like, "How is your marriage? How is your marriage to your wife?" And I was like, "Oh, I know this word." And I was like, they were like, "How is your marriage to your wife?" And I said, "Zabardasti." It's trying to say awesome. And I'm like, "Zabardasti. The wedding was Zabardasti. Our marriage is Zabardasti. It's great. It's great." And they're like, "This guy is in trouble. He is in a lot of trouble." He's in a lot of trouble. But I've been 5 times to Pakistan, right? I've been 5 times, and I've loved it every time I go. But every time I go, my parents get really worried, especially my mom. She's always worried about me. And she's always like, "Jeremy, if you go to Pakistan, someone's going to kill you." And I always have to be like, "No, Mom, you don't understand. Like, all the people that want to kill me live right here in the United States. Okay, like I'll be fine in Pakistan. Matter of fact, if I ever had to flee the United States, that's where I would go, right? I would flee the United States. I would get on a plane. I would go to Pakistan. I would go to a city called Abbottabad. Because apparently you can hide there for years and years and years, and no one ever knows. This guy's shaking his head. He's very disappointed with this joke. And that's where Bin Laden was, by the way. That's the joke. That's where he was hiding, supposedly, you know. But I made a mistake, though. I told that joke in Islamabad, right? I was at the Islamabad club. I was like, this will go great. I told that joke, and this woman gets really angry, and she's in the audience, and she goes, excuse me, I'm from there. And I was like, really? You're from Abbottabad? And she was like, yeah, and it's not pronounced Abbottabad. I was like, well, how do you say it? And she was like, it's Abbottabad. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's why we couldn't find him. You know, like, you know, like, you know, it makes sense. Because, you know, for years, George W. Bush was probably like, we got to go to Abbottabad. I'm telling you, he's probably in Abbottabad. We got to go get him. The CIA's like, we have no idea where that is. What is he even saying? Is that even a place? What is that? Finally, Obama took office, and he was like, it's Abbottabad. You're like, oh, we know where that is. We can get him right now. That's how it went. That's how it went. I do have to tell you guys this story. So the first time I went to Pakistan, right? The first time I went with like a friend of mine, and I did a comedy tour there, and I was so excited, right? All the tickets had sold out. I was super excited, but I was nervous because my visa had not been accepted yet. And yeah, don't do a comedy tour without getting your visa secured first. So, but I was like, it'll be fine. I'll get my visa. And but I started to get worried because Nawaz Sharif was still the prime minister at this time. Okay. And a rumor got started in Pakistan that I am Imran Khan's son. Okay? And in Imran's defense, I am the one who started that rumor. Okay? Basically, I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, his ex-wife, Reham, she wrote a book. And in the book, she said that he had a love child in the West. Right? And I, just trying to be funny, replied to her on Twitter. And I was like, that was our secret, Reham. I told you that in confidence, you know. Why are you outing me? You know, that was our, like, how dare you, right? People thought it was funny. It got retweeted a bunch. But some people didn't think it was funny. They thought it was real. And so I woke up the next morning and found out that someone had screenshotted that and put it on Nawaz Sharif's Facebook page with the caption, "We found him." Okay. And so I was like, oh, no. And I'm getting direct messages. I'm getting like all these DMs from people who are sending me, and it's like video of like Hum News, Geo News, right? And it's all these, I can't understand a word they're saying. They're just like, blah, 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 blah. American comedian Jeremy McLellan, Imran Khan better. I'm like, no. It's terrifying, right? Terrifying. And I find out that 2 days before I'm supposed to leave for Pakistan, my visa was declined. That's true. And I freaked out, right? I flew to Washington, D.C. I met with my friend Sultan, and we are on the phone for hours, right? With everybody that we know in Pakistan, like trying to get a hold of like an ambassador or somebody. And somehow we get a hold of Nawaz Sharif's secretary, all right? And we explain this whole thing. We explain the whole situation. And he says, you know what? We'll all talk. We'll talk about it. And I'll call you back. And in 1 hour, he called us back and said, go to the embassy when it opens. Right? I was like, the day before I'm supposed to leave. Right? He says, when it opens in the morning, go to the embassy. Right? And show them your passport. And they'll stamp it with the visa. And you can go to Pakistan. And so I did. Right? And just like last minute, I was able to go to Pakistan. And this is true. On the flight to Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif was removed from office. And so if you think about it, right, Nawaz Sharif's last act of corruption was getting me my visa to go to Pakistan. This is 100% true. That's 100% true. I'm so proud of that. So, but no, it's great. I do want to mention my family. Right? Mera khandan, right? My family. Do bache, ek bivi, just ek bivi. Do bache. I have 2 kids, Jewel and Johnny, right? And they're great. They're 4 and 3, and they're awesome. Jewel and Johnny. They'll change their names later when they convert to Islam, but like for now they're Jewel and John, and we love that. It is always funny to me when I meet white Muslims, and like my favorite thing about white Muslims is that you can tell when they converted by the names of their children. You ever notice that? They're like, these are my kids, Susan, Frank, Fatiha, Ahmed. And I'm like, whoa. Did it happen right here? It was like Frank after Frank, and they're like, yeah, it was after Frank. It was after Frank, It's different for us. It's different for Catholics. Because for us, like, you can tell when someone becomes Catholic by the ages of their kids. Because they're like, these are my kids. They're 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wife gave birth last night, and she's pregnant. Like, wow. Mashallah, it's beautiful. It's like 6 years ago. And they're like, yeah, 6 years ago. Start cranking them out. That's right. But my kids are great. Jewel loves his sister Johnny. Johnny loves his sister Jewel. Okay, getting them mixed up. Johnny loves Jewel, all right? The problem is he can't say Jewel, all right? He calls her Jew. And it's cute. It's cute at home, Because at home, he'll be like, I love Jew. And we're like, yes, we all love the Jews, honey. This is great. This is great. That's why we don't listen to Kanye anymore. Like, we love them, Right? So it's cute. It's cute, like, at home. But it's not cute in public. Like, I was on tour. My wife sent me a video of them in the library. And it was like the horrifying video. The video is of my blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Nazi-looking baby boy who's toddling around playing hide-and-go-seek with his sister, going, Jew, Jew, where are you, Jew? Where are you? Are you in there, Jew? And I'm like, oh, jeez, it's awkward. It's very, very awkward. Very awkward. So we're working on the jewel, right? Working on that. But no, my kids are not Jewish. My kids are Christian, I think. We'll see, And we have started to worry that my kids might be Muslim, okay? And not in the way that you guys are like, every baby's Muslim, which I know why you believe it, but like, that sounds super aggressive to non-Muslims. Because we'll be like, this is my baby, and they're like, she's Muslim, you just don't know it yet. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Why do you say that? And they're like, well, the fitra. And I'm like, what is the fitra? And I go, okay, the fitra. And I'm like, no, we got them baptized. Didn't work. You can't wash off the fitra. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm like giving him a bath, trying to wash off the fitra. I'm like, is this why he has eczema? I don't even know what that is, right? Very awkward, right? I don't mean it like that. I mean that there have been some signs that my kids might be Muslim, okay? Number one, they were both born on the first day of Ramadan. That's true, okay? And they were both late. It's like a week past their due date, and I'm like, no, these babies are on Muslim time. This is not cool. I don't like this at all, right? They also eat at really weird times of the day. It's like 10 p.m. and they want dinner, and I'm like, this is not white scheduling. I don't agree with this, right? But the main reason why we think my kids might be Muslim, and I'll leave you guys with this. You've been an amazing crowd, and thank you for coming and supporting Helping Hand. The main reason why we think my kids might be Muslim is that we have been reading to them every night. They love being read to. One book in particular, it's a book called Goodnight Moon. You guys familiar with this book, right? Very popular children's book. The problem is, whenever we read it to them, they will start arguing with me about whether they sighted the moon. And it's a huge debate. Like every night, I'm like, no. It's right there, past the bunny, in the window. There's a moon right there. They're like, it's cloudy. It doesn't count if it's cloudy. And I'm like, no. You are not Muslim, okay? It's right there in the window. And then I'm like, the schedule says the moon is right there. And they're like, we don't go by the schedule. We go by whether we can see it like our ancestors. And I'm like, no. It's like Salafi kids. I'm like, okay, this is a Maliki household, all right? I don't even know what that is, all right? So like, Isna says the moon is right there. We don't let them tell us what to do. And I'm like, oh. So here's what we do. After we have this huge argument every night, right? We would go across the floor, we pick up a toy phone, and we just call a Saudi baby and ask them if they saw the moon. If the Saudi baby saw it, then it's there, because the Saudis control everything. Anyway, thank you so much. You guys have been awesome, and I appreciate you guys coming to this event and supporting Helping Hand. You guys are great. Apna hayal, Rukia. Right? All right, see you guys later. Yeah.